Welcome back to Morning Trade Live. It's time for Chart Master. Jenny Horne takes us through the fundamentals. Kevin Green goes through the technicals. We have three key names to watch. We'll start with Estee Lauder, which is a best performer on the S&P 500 today after an upgrade. What are the details here, Jenny Horne?
Yeah, this has been a really interesting, attempted recovery that we've seen in Estee Lauder. As we know, so many of these makeup exposed brands or like beauty exposed skincare have seen a pretty big beatdown that we've seen throughout really the last 12 months or so. This is demonstrated really well by Estee Lauder's 31% roughly contraction on a 12-month basis, but not to take away from the fact that we still have some overall analyst enthusiasm today here. So that is definitely being read as a win. We're seeing this nicely reflected in share price today, up 4.5%. Deutsche Bank today, though, with an upgrade to buy from hold. Price target also raised to $95 a share from $71. And they do see this increasing evidence that the company's strategy is diversifying well beyond China and travel retail for the future growth, which they said is underpinned by moves to accelerate innovation and really migrate decision-making geographically closer to where the business actually gets done. Mind you, Estee Lauder does about 50% of its business overseas outside of the U.S., so it has been a pretty notable headwind, obviously, with trade turbulence and pricing pressures right now weighing on a lot of these discretionary names. But they did say their heavy investments right now have been largely fulfilled, and that go-forward growth can hopefully now start to be leveraged here as we do see the benefit of margin and profit recovery with incremental now commercial and capability investments fueled by right now the overall just cost overturn that we're seeing occur at Estee Lauder. So again, some company-specific issues, but also trends we've seen in the overall beauty retail space, because other names that have been our consistent high flyers of growth, like Elf, for example, even Ulta, have seen a pretty substantial repricing from highs.
So at this point now, when we've seen this stock go from 284 down to 48, I'm looking over a long-term chart, Kevin Green. Tell me about the chart. What stands out to you here?
Well, it does appear that Estee Lauder is trying to at least make a break here to the upside after consolidating for a bit. Now, Nicole, we're still down about 30% from the one-year highs that we have on this chart. And last year, we obviously did see the stock actually get beaten down pretty aggressively here. It tried to consolidate pretty much between October to around April of this year. And then we had that flush to the downside, breaking that 20-day moving average, which is in blue, seeing a consolidation at around $48.37. And we've been in a nice little flag pattern ever since. And in fact, we have been able to recapture the 200-day moving average in red here and trying to break above this ascending channel, which is actually very bullish, trying to get away from the point of control on that volume profile, which is sitting at around $65.44. RSI is also in a bullish formation in that overbought territory, but that does not mean that the stock has to immediately pull back to the downside. And if it does, you're looking at that 200-day moving average as your first area of support, and then below that, the 20-day moving average. MACD also in a bullish formation at 12 EMA above that 26 EMA. So this one looks like it's trying to break out. Jenny already talked about some of the fundamental headwinds here, but from the technical standpoint, if it can really try to get above that $85 to $87 level, that's when you do have a confirmation that this breakout is potentially sustainable here. And that's when you start talking about trying to get back to that $100 or $115 level.
It's amazing what a move Estee Lauder really has had just in 1 month, almost 25%. Okay, so let's move on now, and thank you for that, Kevin. Let's take a look at Oklo, which got a downgrade this morning. Jenny, why is this important, and what does it mean to the stock?
So this name, a bit of a different story, of course, when we look at Oklo and then we look at some of the moves we've seen. Specifically in the overall nuclear and alternative energy space, we saw solar get crushed last week. We've seen a very different tone that has affected Oklo's price. For example, this name is up now 522% roughly over the last 12 months and 137% and some change on the year. So yeah, very, very different story. This downgrade is a bit more exercising caution than necessarily like head for the hills by any means. We're not seeing super pessimism by any really of the analysts that cover this name, but we did see Craig-Hallum downgrade shares to hold from buy. Price target though was raised to 59 from 43, so that's why I say it's one of these, to me, half committal type moves. But they did say, given its build, own, and operate model, Oklo is charting a regulatory path in which it will be both a nuclear technology provider and the project owner, in which it supplies the base load zero emissions power and heat, and as well as overall just the end really user services for AI data centers as well as other applications. So for that reason, they do think it's possible for Oklo to be able to meet its objectives. They do also note the path the company has yet to take, and they've laid out this aggressive target for the remainder of this year. And while there is some initial commercial deployment into late 2027, early 2028, there is still going to be a more long-term story. So downgrade, I think, can be oftentimes so negative perceived as far as the headline type reaction, but this is more of an exercising note of caution, I think, just given the fact we have run up so substantially in this name. I mean, we're 23% off of highs while also being off of lows by 950% nearly. I mean, you just can't find that volatility in most of the names we discuss.
Yeah, understood. I mean, look, 1 year up 468%. Not surprised when someone may say a valuation call, too, when you see this run up. Let's talk about the chart here, Kevin.
Yeah, this is actually a tough one, Nicole. Could you get bearish on this chart? You could, but you might be getting a little bit ahead of yourself for now until you actually have some confirmation that a breakdown is going to sustain itself here. You talked about this remarkable move to the upside here, but we did actually see a breakdown, this nice cup and handle pattern that took place pretty much from February. We had a consolidation between March and around May, and then we started seeing a retest of that $55.70 level, had a little bit of a flag pattern, and then we broke out to the upside. So a completion of that bullish formation of that cup and handle, saw that breakout to $73.55. Now we're coming back, but where we are coming back at is actually a really critical area of support. Not only is it that neckline of that cup and handle around $55.70, but also aligns with that 20-day moving average here. So I would say wait until it actually breaks substantially above below that, or when I say substantially, it breaks around $5 below that particular level on very large volume. That probably gives you that signal that the bearish move is really intact here. RSI is making the lower lows as well as lower highs. If you're looking at it on the trend itself, maybe flagging out, losing some momentum. That's really what that's signaling here. MACD in a bearish formation, even though it's still above the zero line, you do have that 12 EMA below that 26 EMA here. So several of the oscillators are showing maybe a little bit of a bearish sentiment for the name, but you have to have that confirmed by a substantial break of the support level. We have not seen that quite yet.
Okay. Thank you for that. And, now we know which way it could go, which ways it could go. Let's talk about Coinbase. So we saw Bitcoin drop below 100,000 and then come back up. What about the Coinbase story? Price target hike this morning as well, Jenny.
Yeah, I was just checking here. The Bitcoin futures are down about 1.5% this morning. So Coinbase has been definitely one highly correlated to the price of Bitcoin, but that relationship has actually waned a bit as of the last several months of volatility, when Coinbase has seen, not only just a resiliency that we've seen in the entire cryptocurrency space, but we've also seen this added degree of legislation. We have right now a lot of still hopeful milestones to achieve for the year. Plus, Circle going public in a blockbuster debut June 5th has only been, I think, further boosting sentiment in this overall space. So no surprise, raised price target today from benchmark to 421 from 301, which, talk about a substantial repricing as far as your target for the year. They did also keep a buy rating, saying that the flurry of news the company and right now that we operate in has emerged over the course of the past few trading sessions has become really at this point remarkable. They do also believe that each of these headlines and announcements to affirm and boost Coinbase's long-term growth prospects remains very much intact. And the company's shares we've seen jump, more than 23% over just the course of the last trading week. But they do think that additional significant news supportive of Coinbase may still be in the offing, and such that a path could meaningfully lead to higher price for the stock, which could continue to be coming into view. So they see only further upside for here. And I guess you'd have to imagine with a price target that is, I mean, roughly $113 above where we are currently trading right now. So it's definitely been a volatile name. Again, doesn't necessarily trade in as close of tandem with some of the other equity names like Strategy, for example, as you might guess. But Coinbase having a pretty nice year, all things considered, up 20% and up about 115% off of its lows, despite the broader pullback we're seeing in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency asset space today.
All right. So, and with Benchmark having the 421 target and a buy rating today, Kevin Green, what do you make of this name sitting at 306 today?
Yeah, Jenny is right. I mean, this is a very volatile stock. You can see it within the chart as well as the one-year daily chart here. We had a breakdown pretty much last year, utilizing that 200-day moving average as an area of resistance. And we had a nice little breakout after November, and pretty much a lot of the crypto names out there, as well as the crypto equities, saw a substantial move to the upside. We had a consolidation. Once it got to around that $350 level, had this nice little flag pattern, and then we saw a decent and aggressive breakdown. We have been able to break above that 200-day moving average as well as the 20-day moving average. We are trying to break above that $300 level. That has been a previous area of resistance. We're looking back between June and February of this year here. And if we do see a breakout, you're looking at another area of resistance sitting at around $345. RSI really not telling you much outside of maybe the price action's a little bit bullish for now, but we are pretty much around that overbought territory there. But MACD is actually in a bullish formation with that 12 EMA above the 26 EMA here. So cautiously optimistic with this name. It is trying to officially break out here, Nicole. Let's see if it's going to be able to do so with confirmation on large volume here over the next couple of trading sessions or the next couple of weeks.
All right, excellent chart master time here with both of you here as we looked at the fundamentals, the stories, the upgrades, and of course, there on the charts, Kevin Green and Jenny Horne. Thank you.